Captain Aaron stared out of the viewport of his small starship as the alien planet grew larger. It was a strange world, bathed in green and violet light, with floating cities that shimmered like jewels against the purple clouds. He had seen many worlds in his travels, but this one felt different. There was a quiet elegance here, a sense of history in the way the structures curved and twisted like living things. Aaron had been chosen to represent humanity in this star system. The aliens here were known as the Illyrians, a race of graceful beings with translucent skin and eyes that seemed to hold the colors of the galaxy. They were known for their intelligence and their cautious trust in outsiders. Only a few humans had ever visited, and even fewer had left with honor. As his ship docked at the grand space station orbiting the planet, Aaron felt the weight of responsibility. This was a diplomatic mission, not an adventure. He was here to show respect, to negotiate trade agreements, and to learn about their culture. Most importantly, he had to maintain professionalism at all times. The station was enormous, a vast ring of glass and metal that rotated slowly around the planet below. Illyrians moved gracefully through the halls, their long limbs and glowing eyes giving them an almost ethereal presence. Aaron felt a twinge of nervousness. He had been trained for tense situations, but meeting a royal family was something else, entirely. He was led to the ceremonial hall where the Illyrian leaders gathered to welcome him. The hall was filled with soft light, and the air hummed faintly with energy. Aaron noticed the princess standing at the center of the room. She was taller than most Illyrians, with shimmering violet eyes and hair that seemed to float as if underwater. Her presence was calm yet commanding, and yet there was a hint of curiosity in her gaze. For some reason, Aaron did not look directly at her. It was not fear, nor disrespect. He had learned long ago that sometimes, to truly see someone, it was better to observe quietly first. The humans had a saying, "Respect is shown in action, not in words." That thought guided him as he bowed politely, avoiding direct eye contact. The princess noticed immediately. She tilted her head slightly, her eyes narrowing with curiosity. No other visitor had ever behaved this way. Normally, aliens or humans alike would either stare openly at her, overwhelmed by her presence, or bow so low they nearly touched the ground. But Aaron's calm demeanor and avoidance of direct gaze puzzled her. Whispers spread among the Illyrian advisors. "Why does he not look at her?" one asked. "Is he rude? Or afraid?" The princess herself could not resist her curiosity. Later, that evening, as Aaron attended a reception with the council, she approached him. Her movement was fluid, graceful, yet filled with purpose. "Captain Aaron," she said, her voice soft but clear. "May I ask you something?" Aaron straightened, keeping his tone even. "Of course, Princess Liara, anything." "Why do you never look at me?" she asked. Her eyes, so unusual in their violet depth, searched his face. Aaron hesitated. He could have said 1,000 things, fear, politeness, human custom, but he chose honesty. "Princess, I respect you. I also respect your space. I believe looking directly at someone does not always show respect. Sometimes it shows expectation. I do not wish to assume anything about you." Liara blinked, surprised. No one had ever answered her like that. Normally, visitors would fluster under her gaze, stumble with words, or offer hollow compliments. But Aaron, he was different. There was no flattery, no fear, only a calm honesty that intrigued her. "Different," she whispered, almost to herself. Then, looking up at him again, she asked, "So, you are not afraid?" "Not in your presence," Aaron replied. "I am careful, yes. Careful is not the same as fear." Liara studied him for a long moment. She could see the sincerity in his eyes, or rather in the honesty of his expression. Illyrians valued truth above all else. Words could be twisted, actions could be hidden, but a true demeanor rarely lied. Then, "Why do you not admire me? Surely all humans see me as extraordinary." Aaron allowed himself a small, polite smile. "Admiration is easy. True respect is harder. I do not wish to admire without knowing. I wish to understand." Her violet eyes widened slightly. No one had ever said such things to her. She was used to compliments that felt empty, gestures meant to please her. But this human, he spoke as if she were equal, not a prize or a figure of status. The evening continued with formal greetings and polite conversation. Aaron spoke with the council members about trade and exploration, carefully navigating customs and etiquette. Princess Liara watched quietly, observing how he interacted with others. She noticed that he treated everyone with the same calm respect, whether they were advisors, guards, or servants. Later, as the reception wound down, she found herself standing alone near the observation deck. The stars stretched endlessly before them, a river of light across the dark void. Aaron approached, bowing slightly in respect. "You have been quiet," she said softly, not accusing, just observing. "I prefer to listen first," he replied. "The world is full of noise. I wish to hear what is truly important." Liara considered his words. She had expected arrogance, fear, or flattery, but instead she found patience and sincerity. These were rare qualities among visitors. Even the most polite diplomats often tried to impress her, their words carefully measured to gain favor. But Aaron, he was genuine. "Do humans always behave this way?" she asked, curiosity overtaking formality. "Not always," he admitted. "Some are bold, some are careless, some are brave, some are cautious. I choose my actions carefully because every choice has consequences." Liara looked at him for a long time. Her advisors would have called it strange. An alien princess and a human captain sharing a quiet, unspoken understanding. But she felt a spark of connection. Perhaps it was the calm way he carried himself, the honesty in his speech, or the lack of pretense. As the night grew late, Aaron prepared to leave the observation deck. He gave a respectful bow. "Thank you for your time, Princess. I hope to learn more in the days to come." Liara's eyes softened. She wanted to ask more questions, but something told her that this was only the beginning. "I will hold you to that promise, Captain Aaron," she said. As he walked away, she felt a strange mix of curiosity and admiration. Humans were unpredictable, but this one seemed different. Perhaps there was more to him than mere diplomacy. Back in his quarters, Aaron reflected on the evening. Diplomacy was always a careful balance, but tonight had been unusual. The princess had challenged him in ways others never had. Her question had been simple, but it revealed much about her character, and perhaps about the potential for trust between their worlds. He knew that the days ahead would be full of challenges. The Illyrians were cautious by nature, and earning their trust would not be easy. Yet he felt a small hope that honesty and respect could bridge the gap between human and alien. Meanwhile, Princess Liara stood by her own window, watching the distant stars. She thought of the human captain, his calm presence and his refusal to treat her as an object of awe. There was something intriguing about him, something that made her want to understand him better. For the first time, she wondered what it would be like to meet someone from another world and see them not as an alien but as a person, and perhaps, she thought, this human captain could teach her something about humanity, and she in turn could teach him something about hers. The first encounter had ended, but the story was only beginning. The question lingered in both their minds. Why did he never look at her? And how would his answer change everything? As the station lights dimmed and the stars outside continued to shine, both human and alien realized that this was not just another diplomatic mission. It was the start of something new, something that could change the way their worlds saw each other forever. The next morning, Captain Aaron woke to the soft hum of the space station. Light from the nearby planet bathed his quarters in shades of green and violet. Today, the formal events would continue, but he felt a strange sense of anticipation. Last night's encounter with Princess Liara had been unusual. Her question, "Why do you never look at me?" lingered in his mind. He prepared for the day with care. His uniform was neat, his manners precise, and his mind alert. He had learned that in diplomacy every action spoke louder than words, and in the Illyrian court, even a small misstep could have major consequences. As he entered the ceremonial hall, he noticed the princess waiting near a window, her eyes watching the planet below. The glow of the star reflected in her violet irises, making them appear almost luminous. She smiled faintly as he approached, her posture relaxed but regal. "Captain Aaron," she said, her voice calm. "May we speak?" "Of course, Princess," he replied. He followed her to a quiet observation deck, away from the council and the advisors. The stars stretched endlessly beyond the glass, a sparkling reminder of the vastness of the galaxy. Liara turned to face him, her expression curious yet serious. "Yesterday you gave me an answer about why you never look at me, but I want to understand more. Why do you behave this way with everyone, or is it only with me?" Aaron paused, choosing his words carefully. "I behave with everyone respectfully, but with you, I wanted to be honest from the start. I did not want to pretend or act in a way that was expected. I wanted my actions to reflect what I truly feel." Liara tilted her head, studying him. "And what do you truly feel?" "Respect," he said simply. "I feel respect. And curiosity. I want to understand your world, your people, and you, not as a princess, but as a person." For a moment Liara said nothing. She was not used to being addressed this way. Most visitors focused on her status or her appearance. Few tried to understand her as a person. Her advisors often warned her not to trust outsiders easily, for humans could be unpredictable. Yet here stood Captain Aaron, calm, honest, and unassuming. "Aunt Diane, see," she said finally. Her voice softened. "Humans are different from what I expected." "We are," he admitted. "We are curious, cautious, and sometimes brave. We are not perfect, but we try to learn from our mistakes." Liara took a deep breath. She had many questions, but she decided to start small. "Tell me something personal about yourself, Captain. Something no one else knows." Aaron considered the question. Sharing personal details with royalty could be risky, but he sensed that honesty would strengthen trust. "When I was a child," he began, "I used to look at the stars every night. I dreamed of traveling, of seeing other worlds. But more than that, I dreamed of understanding them. I wanted to know how people lived, how they thought, and how they could work together. That curiosity never left me." Liara listened intently. There was no pretense, no exaggeration, just truth. She felt a small spark of admiration. It was rare to find someone so open and sincere. Most visitors tried to impress her with stories of heroism or wealth, but Aaron spoke of curiosity and respect. "And you?" he asked, gently. "What do you dream of, Princess Liara?" Liara hesitated. Few had asked her that question. Her life was filled with duty, politics, and expectation. Personal dreams were often pushed aside. Yet something in Aaron's calm demeanor encouraged her to answer. "I dream of understanding other worlds," she said quietly, "of seeing life beyond my people, of knowing that we are not alone and that we can be more than what we were born into." Aaron nodded, smiling faintly. "That is a noble dream. It takes courage to seek understanding rather than power." She looked at him, a mixture of curiosity and newfound respect in her eyes. "Then perhaps you are not what I expected, Captain Aaron. You do not flinch at my presence, nor do you flatter me. You treat me as equal." "I treat everyone as equal," he replied. "That is how trust begins." Liara considered his words. She realized that the human captain had already taught her something important, that respect and honesty could bridge even the greatest differences. The Illyrians were cautious by nature, but here was someone who acted without manipulation, without hidden motives. Over the next several hours, Liara began testing Aaron in small ways. She asked him about human culture, about the planets he had visited, and about his values. Each time, Aaron responded with patience and honesty, never exaggerating, never avoiding difficult questions. When she asked about his bravery, he spoke of moments when he had faced danger not for glory, but to protect others. When she asked about his loyalty, He shared stories of his crew and how they had worked together through challenges. Each answer revealed more about the man behind the uniform, and each answer impressed her further. Liara's advisors watched from a distance, whispering among themselves. They had seen many humans before, but none had handled the princess's curiosity with such calm respect. Some even speculated that Aaron could help foster a stronger bond between humans and Illyrians if he continued to prove trustworthy. As the day turned into evening, Liara invited Aaron to walk with her through the station's gardens. Floating plants glowed softly in colors that humans had no names for. Strange birds with transparent wings moved gracefully through the air, their songs a gentle melody. "Do you always see the beauty in new places?" Liara asked. "I try to," Aaron replied. "But beauty is not only in what we see. It is in what we notice and how we treat it, and in how we respect it. The way you maintain these gardens, it shows care, patience, and understanding." Liara smiled faintly, pleased that he had observed so much. "Many humans overlook details," she said. "You do not." "Details matter," Aaron said simply. "They show who we are and what we value." As they walked, they shared stories about their worlds. Aaron spoke of human cities, forests, and oceans. Liara spoke of Illyrian history, art, and music. They laughed at the differences and marveled at the similarities. Despite their differences in appearance and culture, they discovered a shared curiosity and a desire to understand the universe. Eventually, they reached a quiet platform overlooking the planet below. The lights of the floating cities shimmered, like stars mirrored on the surface. Aaron leaned against the railing, feeling a sense of calm. Liara joined him, standing silently at his side. After a long pause, she spoke softly. "I think I am beginning to understand you, Captain Aaron. You are not like the others. You do not seek to impress, to flatter, or to gain favor. You are genuine." Aaron nodded. "Genuine is the only way to build trust, and trust is the foundation of understanding between people, or even between worlds." Liara looked at him closely. "And yet, you still do not look at me directly." "I look at the world," he said. "And I see you within it, not apart from it. I do not look at you because you are a princess. I look at you because you are a person." Her eyes softened, and she felt a warmth that was new to her. No one had ever treated her like that before. It was both comforting and strange. She realized that humans might be unpredictable, but they also had the ability to see things clearly without pretense. The station's lights began to dim, signaling the end of the day. Aaron prepared to leave, bowing respectfully. "Captain," Liara said, her voice quiet but firm. "Thank you for your honesty. I will remember your words." "And I will remember yours, Princess," Aaron replied. As he walked away, Liara watched him go. She felt a spark of curiosity, a desire to learn more, not only about humans, but about this particular human who had refused to follow the usual rules of protocol. Perhaps, she thought, there was more to him than diplomacy and duty. Perhaps he could teach her something about courage, honesty, and understanding. That night, both human and alien lay awake thinking about the other. Aaron thought about the princess's curiosity and the unusual honesty in her questions. Liara thought about the captain's calm presence and how it had challenged her expectations. Both realized that this encounter was only the beginning, a first step toward a deeper connection that could change not only their understanding of each other, but also the relationship between their worlds. The question lingered in both their minds. Why did he never look at her? And how would their growing understanding shape the days ahead? As the station rotated slowly around the vibrant planet, a new sense of possibility filled the air. Two individuals, from very different worlds, had met, and their meeting had planted the seed of respect, curiosity, and trust. And in that seed, both of them sensed the potential for something extraordinary. The next morning, the station was bathed in soft violet light from the planet below. Captain Aaron prepared for the day with careful attention. Today was different. Princess Liara had invited him to leave the station and explore parts of her planet with her. It was an unusual honor. Few outsiders had been allowed to see the world outside the formal areas, let alone travel with the princess herself. Aaron stepped onto the observation deck where Liara was already waiting. Her violet eyes glowed, faintly in the morning light. She wore a simple robe, flowing yet practical, and moved with her usual grace. Unlike yesterday, she looked at him directly, but there was no accusation in her gaze, only curiosity. "Are you ready, Captain?" she asked. "I am," he replied. "I look forward to learning more about your world." They boarded a small shuttle designed to hover over the planet's surface. The shuttle's windows provided a clear view of the landscape below. The planet was alive with color, forests with luminescent trees, rivers that reflected the violet skies, and floating rock formations that moved slowly, as if they were drifting in a gentle current. Liara smiled. "This is my home. Few outsiders see it like this. I hope it will teach you more than any formal tour could." Aaron nodded, impressed by the beauty below. "It already does," he said quietly. "It is remarkable how life adapts here, yet it feels harmonious, not forced." The shuttle descended to a lush valley filled with glowing plants and strange animals. Illyrian caretakers guided them through safe paths. Aaron noticed the care taken in maintaining balance between technology and nature. There were no machines tearing through the land, no wasteful construction. Everything seemed intentional, thoughtful, and respectful of life. "Your people truly honor this land," Aaron observed. Liara's gaze softened. "We try. Our ancestors taught us that the world is a gift. To harm it is to harm ourselves." As they walked, small creatures with translucent wings flitted around them. Aaron watched carefully not to disturb them. Liara noticed and smiled. "You treat even the smallest beings with respect," she said. "It is not only respect," Aaron explained. "It is understanding. Every life has a role and every choice we make affects it. Even small actions matter." Liara paused for a moment, considering his words. Humans were different from Illyrians in many ways, but here was a man who understood balance, who observed and acted with thoughtfulness. Perhaps he could teach her something new, just as she could share her world with him. They continued to explore deeper into the valley, reaching a series of ancient ruins. The stones glowed faintly, etched with symbols and writings that told stories of Illyrian history. Liara led him through the corridors carefully. "These ruins are sacred," she explained. "They were built by my ancestors to honor knowledge and discovery. Many humans would rush through, eager to take photos or collect souvenirs. But we must move with respect." Aaron nodded. "I understand. History is alive when treated with care. I would never wish to disturb it." She observed him closely. "You are cautious but not fearful. That is rare." As they ventured further, a small challenge arose. A narrow bridge connected two rock formations over a glowing river below. The bridge was old, and its surface uneven. Liara glanced at Aaron, testing his reaction. "Do you trust it?" she asked. "I trust it enough to cross carefully," he replied. His tone was steady, showing no arrogance. He led the way, stepping lightly and observing each plank. Liara followed, moving with her usual grace. The river shimmered below them, but neither faltered. When they reached the other side safely, Liara let out a small laugh, a sound like wind through leaves. "You are steady, Captain Aaron. Few could cross that without hesitation." "I have learned that careful steps prevent unnecessary danger," he said. "It is better to proceed with thought than to rush blindly." Their journey continued into a dense forest filled with glowing flowers and towering trees. The air was rich with scents unfamiliar to Aaron, yet pleasant. Strange birds with crystal-like feathers flitted from branch to branch, singing songs that seemed to echo with harmony. Liara pointed to a clearing. "We will rest there for a while. My people often meditate in such places to feel the connection between themselves and the planet." Aaron followed her into the clearing, sitting cross-legged on soft grass. He observed the princess as she closed her eyes, breathing calmly. He mimicked her posture, not to imitate, but to focus and understand. After a few moments, Liara opened her eyes. "Do you feel it?" she asked. "Not yet," he admitted. "But I can feel the peace it brings you. That is enough for now." Liara smiled, appreciating his honesty. Humans often seek power or achievement. You seek understanding. That is rare. They spoke quietly, sharing thoughts about life, responsibility, and the future. Aaron told her about Earth, about cities filled with noise and chaos, but also about communities that worked together and cared for one another. Liara shared stories of Illyrian history, of explorers who had sought knowledge, and of leaders who had chosen wisdom over conquest. Their conversation revealed a growing trust. Liara realized that Aaron was not here for status or gain. He genuinely wanted to understand her world, her people, and herself. And Aaron realized that Liara was not just a princess to be admired. She was a thoughtful, intelligent leader, curious about the universe beyond her home. As the sun, or rather the violet star, began to set, they encountered another minor challenge. A small canyon blocked their path with a swift stream running through it. The only way across was a series of natural stepping stones, some slippery and uneven. Liara looked at him. "Will you cross first?" Aaron studied the stones carefully. "I will. Then you follow my path. Trust is built when both observe and act carefully." He stepped lightly, testing each stone before moving to the next. Liara followed, watching his movements closely. When they reached the other side, she smiled. "You are not only careful, but also patient. That combination is unusual." "Patience allows us to see things clearly," Aaron replied. "Rushing often leads to mistakes or misunderstandings." Liara nodded. She realized that in this human captain, she had found a teacher of sorts, someone who showed her new ways to approach life, even as she shared her own world with him. By the time they returned to the shuttle, the sky was painted in deep violet and green hues, the planet glowing. With soft light, Liara looked at Aaron with a new sense of respect. "I'm beginning to understand you better," she said. "You do not act out of expectation or fear. You act out of thoughtfulness and honesty. And I am beginning to understand you," Aaron replied. "You are not only a leader but a person who seeks knowledge and connection. That is rare too." Their shuttle lifted off, carrying them back to the station. Both were quiet for a while, reflecting on the day. They had faced minor challenges, observed new things, and shared their thoughts and dreams. But more importantly, they had begun to trust one another. Liara realized that human and Illyrian perspectives were different, but not incompatible. With patience, respect, and honesty, they could bridge the gap between their worlds. And Aaron realized that leadership came in many forms, and sometimes the best way to lead was to listen, learn, and act with care. Back on the station, Liara led him to a quiet garden, filled with soft light and glowing plants. "Today has been unusual," she said. "Few outsiders have seen this part of our world. You have shown respect and understanding. I value that." Aaron bowed slightly. "I am honored, Princess. Your world is extraordinary, and I wish to learn as much as I can." Liara smiled faintly. "Perhaps tomorrow you will see even more. There is still much to understand, Captain Aaron, and I wish to see how humans think, act, and feel when faced with new challenges." Aaron nodded. "I am ready, and I hope to continue earning your trust." As the night fell, both of them felt a quiet satisfaction. The day had been more than exploration. It had been a lesson in patience, trust, and understanding. They had faced small challenges, observed new worlds, and shared ideas. And with each step, their connection grew stronger. Liara watched him leave the garden, a thought forming in her mind. Perhaps humans were not as unpredictable as her advisors claimed. Perhaps, if guided with honesty and respect, they could become allies, friends, and even partners in the pursuit of knowledge. Aaron, Walking back to his quarters felt a quiet hope. He had seen beauty, learned patience, and begun to understand a world very different from his own. But more importantly, he had begun to understand the princess, not as a figure of status but as a person. The first steps of trust had been taken, and both human and alien realized that their journey was only beginning. Challenges, questions, and discoveries awaited. But now, they would face them together, with patience, respect, and understanding. And somewhere deep inside, both knew that the bond formed today would change the way their worlds saw each other, and perhaps even the future of interstellar relations. The next morning, Captain Aaron was called to a special audience in the ceremonial temple of the Illyrians. The temple was a magnificent structure, its walls glowing with soft light and etched with the history of Liara's ancestors. Only the royal, family, and a few trusted advisors were allowed inside, making this invitation unusual and important. Princess Liara met him at the entrance. She was dressed in formal ceremonial robes that shimmered like the night sky, her violet eyes calm but serious. "Captain Aaron," she said, "today you will face a test, not of strength but of character. The council wishes to see who you truly are and whether your intentions are genuine." Aaron bowed respectfully. "I understand, Princess. I will do my best." They entered the temple together. Illyrian advisors and officials lined the halls, their expressions curious and cautious. Whispers spread among them. The human captain had already impressed Liara with his honesty and respect, but this formal test would reveal whether he could hold the same integrity under pressure. The first part of the test was a series of questions about human values, culture, and ethics. Liara's advisors asked about loyalty, courage, and decision-making. Aaron answered each question with careful thought, giving examples from his own experiences. He spoke about his crew, about times when he had risked his own safety to protect others, and about situations where honesty and respect had guided difficult decisions. One advisor asked sharply, "Captain Aaron, humans are known for being aggressive. How can we trust your intentions?" Aaron replied calmly. "Aggression is not a choice. Action is. Humans can be brave or reckless, kind or selfish. I choose to act with thought and respect. My intentions are to understand, to cooperate, and to honor those I meet." The council murmured among themselves. Few outsiders had ever answered, so directly and without pretense. Liara watched him silently, her expression unreadable. The second part of the test involved observation and decision-making. They led Aaron to a ceremonial hall filled with delicate artifacts, glowing plants, and intricate machinery. A small, controlled challenge awaited him, a simulation of a planetary disaster. The simulation required quick thinking, careful planning, and cooperation with the Illyrians present. Aaron studied the simulation carefully. He noticed the rules, the hazards, and the ways the Illyrians would interact with him. He spoke calmly, assigning roles to the participants and making sure each action minimized risk. "Your actions are deliberate," Liara said softly. "You do not rush, yet you act decisively. Few humans I have observed can do both." Aaron's focus was complete. He guided the simulation with patience, showing concern for each participant and respect for the environment. The simulation ended successfully, and the council looked impressed. The final part of the test was a question from Liara herself. She stepped forward, her eyes meeting his directly. "Captain Aaron, if you had the choice to leave my planet tomorrow, or stay and help protect it, what would you choose?" Aaron paused, considering her words carefully. He knew this was not just a question of duty, but a question of character. "Princess Liara," he began, "my choice would be to stay, not out of obligation, but because I see value in your world and your people. I wish to help, to understand, and to cooperate. That is more important than returning home immediately." Liara's violet eyes softened. This was the answer she had hoped for, not a promise of flattery, not an attempt to impress, but a genuine desire to be present and responsible. The council whispered among themselves, clearly impressed. They had expected tests of strength, skill, or intelligence, but Aaron had passed through honesty, patience, and respect. He had shown leadership not through force but through integrity. One advisor asked, "And if challenges arose that put your life at risk?" Aaron looked at Liara and then back at the council. "I would act with caution, but I would not abandon what is right. Life is valuable, and choices matter. Courage is not recklessness. It is responsibility in action." The temple grew quiet. Even the most skeptical advisors had no words to challenge him. Liara stepped forward and placed a hand lightly on his shoulder. "Captain Aaron, you have shown what many could not. You are honest, thoughtful, and brave in ways that are rare." Aaron bowed respectfully. "Thank you, Princess. Your trust means more than any title or ceremony." Liara nodded. "The council sees now what I have already observed. Your presence is not just tolerated, it is respected. And that respect will grow if you continue to act as you have." After the test, Liara led him to the temple gardens, a quiet place filled with soft light and glowing plants. The challenges of the day had been intense, yet Aaron's calm demeanor remained. Liara walked beside him, observing how he interacted with the environment, treating each plant and artifact with care. "You did well today," she said softly. "Most visitors would have faltered under observation, but you remained honest and thoughtful. That is rare." "I acted as I always do," Aaron replied. "I respect your world and your people. That is all I can offer." Liara smiled faintly. "Yet that is enough. It is more than enough." The sun, or the violet star, began to set, casting a gentle glow over the gardens. Liara and Aaron sat quietly, observing the world around them. For the first time, they shared not just duty or responsibility, but understanding. Their connection had grown beyond formality. "You have taught me something, Captain Aaron," Liara said finally. "That respect and honesty matter more than appearances. That courage is not loud but steady. That trust can be built even between worlds that seem very different." Aaron nodded. "And you have taught me, Princess, that curiosity, patience, and observation are powerful tools. That leadership is not just about command, but about understanding those you lead and the world you live in." Liara looked at him, her violet eyes reflecting the soft glow of the garden. "I believe this is only the beginning," she said. "There is still much to learn, and I want to see how humans and Illyrians can work together, not as strangers, but as partners." Aaron smiled faintly. "I am ready, Princess. I will continue to earn your trust and learn as much as I can." As the evening deepened, the temple gardens quieted. Liara and Aaron walked slowly, observing the soft glow of the plants and the distant lights of the city below. The day had been a test, but it had also been a lesson. Both human and alien realized that true strength was not in force or status, but in honesty, patience, and understanding. Before leaving the garden, Liara looked at him directly for a long moment. "Captain Aaron, your presence here is more important than you know. You have shown that humans can act with integrity, and that trust can be built between very different worlds. And your guidance has shown me how much can be learned when respect and understanding lead the way," Aaron replied. That night, as the station's lights dimmed and the stars beyond the glass shone brightly, both Captain Aaron and Princess Liara reflected on the day's events. The test had not only proven his character, but it had strengthened their growing connection. They had learned to trust each other, to act with patience, and to respect the worlds and lives around them. Liara returned to her chambers with a sense of calm satisfaction. She had found in Aaron not just a diplomat but a partner in understanding and discovery. And Aaron, walking back to his quarters, felt a quiet hope. He had faced challenges, observed a new world, and learned from it. And he knew that the bond he was forming with the princess was something extraordinary. The next day would bring more questions, more exploration, and perhaps even more challenges. But both human and alien felt ready. They had begun to understand each other, And in that understanding lay the possibility of something greater, a connection not only between two individuals but between two worlds. As the temple doors closed behind them and the station settled, into the quiet of night, one thought remained in both minds. The choices made with honesty and respect could change everything. And in the bond they were forming, there was the promise of a future filled with trust, curiosity, and shared discovery. The morning light bathed the Illyrian palace in soft violet and green tones. Captain Aaron stood by the observation deck, looking out at the planet below. Today was different. Today, he would make a choice, one that could change not only his life, but the relationship between humans and Illyrians. Princess Liara joined him, her violet eyes calm but filled with purpose. "Captain Aaron," she said, her voice gentle, "yesterday's test showed your character. Today I ask you a question, not as a princess, but as someone who wishes to understand your intentions fully." Aaron turned to her, bowing slightly. "I am ready, Princess. Whatever you ask, I will answer honestly." Liara studied him for a long moment. "If you choose, you may return to your people, or you may stay and help protect my planet, guide exploration, and foster understanding. Between our worlds, which will you choose?" Aaron took a deep breath. The decision weighed heavily on him. Returning to Earth meant safety, familiarity, and duty to his own people. But staying here meant new challenges, new responsibilities, and a chance to build something meaningful, not just for himself but for both humans and Illyrians. "I choose to stay," he said finally, his voice calm but firm, "not because it is expected, not because it is easy, but because I see value in your world, your people, and the trust you have shown me. I wish to learn, to help, and to honor that trust." Liara's violet eyes softened, a rare smile appearing on her face. "Then you truly understand the responsibility of this choice," she said. "It is not a small matter to live among my people, to act with honor and respect, and to contribute to our world. Yet you have chosen willingly." Aaron bowed again. "I understand. I am ready for whatever comes next." The palace advisors and council members who had observed the exchange whispered among themselves. Many had doubted that a human could act with such honesty and patience, yet here was Aaron, choosing responsibility over comfort, commitment over safety. They realized that he had earned not only Liara's trust, but their respect as well. Liara led Aaron through the palace gardens, which glowed softly under the alien sky. The air was filled with scents unfamiliar to humans, yet calming. Floating, plants shimmered in colors that shifted gently, and small creatures with delicate wings moved gracefully among them. "Your choice shows courage," Liara said, walking beside him. "Many would have chosen comfort, yet you chose responsibility. That is what makes trust possible." Aaron nodded. "I have learned that courage is not only facing danger, it is choosing what is right, even when it is difficult. I want to honor the trust you have given me, Princess." They walked in silence for a while, observing the glowing gardens and distant lights of the city. Slowly, Liara spoke again. "Captain Aaron, I see now that humans are not what some Illyrians feared. You act with thought, respect, and understanding. That is rare and it is valuable." Aaron smiled faintly. "And I see now that Illyrians are not just cautious or distant. They are thoughtful, patient, and capable of great wisdom. I hope to continue, learning from your people and from you." As evening approached, Liara brought Aaron to a quiet platform overlooking the city. The floating structures shimmered like jewels in the night, reflecting softly in the calm waters below. It was a peaceful scene, one that spoke of balance, care, and harmony. "You have changed the way I see humans," Liara said quietly. "Not all outsiders would act as you have. Most would rush, flustered by my presence, or try to gain favor. You have chosen honesty, and that choice has earned respect." Aaron looked at her, finally meeting her gaze. The connection between them was no longer formal or tentative, it was grounded in mutual understanding and trust. I hope that my actions can continue to build that respect, Princess. I wish to show my people and yours that we can work together, not as strangers but as allies and friends. Liara nodded. And I hope that Illyrians will see humans in the same light, as partners who can share knowledge, respect, and cooperation. Perhaps together we can achieve more than either world could alone. For a long moment they stood in silence, watching the lights below. Both understood that this was more than a personal choice. It was the start of something greater. The bond formed between them had the power to influence not only their own lives, but the future of interstellar relations. Later they returned to the palace halls, where the council awaited. Liara introduced Aren formally as a trusted ally and guest of the royal family. The council members, initially cautious, greeted him with respect, acknowledging the honesty and integrity he had shown. Aren moved through the crowd with calm composure, speaking politely and observing carefully. He listened to concerns, answered questions with patience, and shared ideas for cooperation between humans and Illyrians. Every action reinforced the trust he had built. Every word demonstrated sincerity. As the evening drew to a close, Liara led him to a quiet balcony overlooking the city. Stars sparkled above, mirrored by the lights below. "Captain Aren," she said softly, "today you have shown that respect, honesty, and courage can bridge worlds. That is more valuable than any diplomacy or any gift." Aren bowed slightly. "And you have shown that guidance, trust, and openness can teach even a human how to act with care and understanding. I am grateful for the opportunity." Liara looked at him for a long moment. Then she smiled, a small but meaningful gesture. "I see now that my question, why you never looked at me, was answered not with words, but with your actions. And those actions have changed everything." Aren finally met her gaze fully. No hesitation or doubt. It was a moment of connection, trust, and understanding that neither of them would forget. The question that had begun their journey, so simple yet profound, had led to something far greater than either expected. Days turned into weeks, and Aren continued to work alongside Liara and her people. He explored the planet, learning about its ecosystems, culture, and history. He shared knowledge from his own world, teaching humans approaches to exploration, science, and diplomacy. In return, he learned Illyrian ways of harmony, patience, and observation. Their partnership became a symbol of trust between humans and Illyrians. Trade agreements, scientific cooperation, and cultural exchanges flourished. Stories of the human captain who respected the alien princess and acted with integrity spread across both worlds. And always, in the quiet moments, Liara and Aren shared understanding. They spoke of dreams, hopes, and the potential of their combined efforts. They explored new places, faced challenges, and grew together, not as princess and guest, but as equals and partners. One evening, as they watched the violet sunset over the floating cities, Liara turned to Aren. "I never imagined that one answer spoken with honesty could change so much. Yet it did. It changed not only how I see you, but how our worlds see each other." Aren smiled gently. "And I never imagined that respecting someone fully, even without words, could build such trust. Yet it has. It has changed everything for me as well." As the stars began to glow in the sky, Liara reached out, placing a hand lightly on his shoulder. "The future is uncertain," she said softly. "But with trust, respect, and honesty, we can face it together." Aren nodded. "Together," he agreed. In that moment, human and alien stood side by side, looking out at a world full of light, life, and possibility. Their bond was more than personal. It was a bridge between worlds. And as the night deepened, both realized that this connection, built on trust, understanding, and sincerity, would endure far beyond their own lives. The question that had started it all, "Why do you never look at me?" had led to friendship, partnership, and a new chapter in human and Illyrian history. And in the quiet glow of the palace, under the alien stars, Captain Arin and Princess Lyara knew that they had changed. Everything together,